everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's JoJo, the Joyous Genealogist here, and this channel is about temple and family history work. And in this episode, we're going over part 5 of Covenant Keepers. I've been covering in like a little series I've got going on here. Sister Wendy Watson Nelson's book, Covenant Keepers, Unlocking the Miracles God Wants for You. And I am in part 5 of my overview of her book, reading it, talking about it, looking up doctrine about it. She's got lots of footnotes, and so I've been covering some of that doctrine. This video will be a lot shorter. I'm giving you guys a little forewarning. It'll definitely be shorter than part 4's. Part 4's went over an hour, so I'm going to really try hard to not make it that long again. So for one, I was like, oh my gosh, I was kind of like getting tired, like talking for an hour, like losing my concentration. I guess I wasn't tired talking, but I was losing my concentration after an hour. I'm not very good at sitting still, let alone for an hour, but at least I was doing something. So in the section prior to this, we're going over covenants and the power of perspective. So we're going over perspective, and that was one that we went over previously. And now we're going over the power of the connection perspective. And this is going to be, like I said, a lot shorter. I'm only going over one particular footnote that she had in here that I thought was of importance. So let's get started. So the power of the connection perspective. Now consider this truth. Commencing with Adam and Eve, all righteous men and women who love the Lord, have accepted his gospel, have made covenants with him. Think of how of any of the covenant men and women down through the ages, women and men down through the ages whom we love and admire, from Sarah and Rebekah to Sarai and Rachel, from Abraham and Isaac to Lehi and Jacob, from Noah and his wife to Daniel and his, from Peter and his wife to James and John and theirs, from Adam and Eve to Joseph Smith and Emma and Eliza. Each of these men and women made the very same covenants with God that you and I have made. Therefore, our covenants with God connect us with other men and women who have made covenants with them. I love to think of that. In fact, so that she says, I love to think of that. The very fact that temple covenants and ordinances seem so different from experiences during our Sunday worship meetings is yet another testimony of their truthfulness. They are ancient. The Ancient of Days, meaning Adam and Eve, received those covenants, our very covenants, from God. How thrilling is that? Now, just for a moment, imagine 2 gigantic mirrors placed with their reflecting surfaces facing each other. So picture yourself in the temple. I've done this since I've read this. I do it occasionally when I'm in the celestial room, is I'll stand in front of the mirrors, which they're not quite low enough for me to like look in them. It frustrates me because when I look in the mirrors in the celestial room, they are right across from each other, right? But they're like up here, and I'm too short to actually like see everybody to see behind me. So like I can't really even see myself. There's such massive mirrors. I wish they would have put them down a little bit lower so people could actually like really see through them, you know? Anyways, yeah, that's a third world problem there. But so now just for a moment, so picture yourself, 2 gigantic mirrors placed with the reflecting surfaces facing each other. Picture you and me with a chapel full of faithful, not perfect, but faithful Latter-day Saint men and women who are striving to keep their covenants, standing in front of one of the mirrors and looking into it with the other mirror parallel behind us. What would you see? We would see numberless images of men and women stretching into infinity. Can you picture that in your eyes? Freeze frame that image. As you look at that image, you are seeing the number of covenant men and women with whom you and I are connected each and every time we make a covenant with God. Each and every time we keep those sacred obligations. So brothers, if you were to picture yourself standing with your priesthood quorum into those double mirrors each and every time you were surfing the web, would it make it easier to stand for truth and righteousness as a worthy priesthood holder as you choose which sites to visit while you maneuver through entreating and entrapping pop-ups as you search for information to assist you with your employment? How would that image of those millions of other covenant-keeping men help you with your internet selections? And I want to read something for you really quick. Well, let me finish this. My husband speaking to the brethren strongly counseled, your highest priesthood duty is to care for your wife. That is your eternal charge. Do you realize that one of the most important ways you can care for your wife is to be impeccably true and faithful to her as you spend time on the internet? One husband, understanding the strength that can come from joining with other covenant keepers, said, the fact that I have made covenants with God and some also with my wife helps give me strength when life's challenges come. These covenants remind me that I am part of something much greater than just myself, and I can lean on others who have made covenants for their help and support because we share a deep, mutually binding interest. Let me repeat that. And I can lean on others who have made covenants for their help and support because we share a deep, mutually binding interest. Now, sisters, let's talk about our time with social media. It's been said that the present fascination some women have with social media is the need women have to feel connected with other women, to support each other, to know what's happening in each other's lives, to help other women know and approve of what we're doing. Like, isn't that the truth? Like, I used to be a part of like some networking groups, and you feel that sense of belonging. It's everything that she's talking about right here. We want witnesses for our lives, she says. So, sisters, if you saw yourself looking into the double mirrors with faithful covenant-keeping women in your life whom you love and admire, let's consider this question. Do we as covenant women need more friends on Facebook, or do we need to experience more of the beautifully familiar, unmistakably divine feelings and being connected with, perhaps more accurately, reconnected with millions of other women who have made covenants with God? That just made me think, throughout all my life, I remember in my 20s and into my 30s and up to the point maybe after I joined the church, I don't know. But I used to read self-help books all the time. And I've always been like I've always been an entrepreneur, and I've always had like side gigs. I've always liked, I've worked for myself since I was in my 30s. I started my own business, but before that, I even always trying to do side gigs and how to improve myself and how to do it and all that stuff, right? And I was thinking about what she said when I read this about I'm not on social media really at all, hardly at all. I post, but I rarely spend time just scrolling. I don't like what it does to me. I don't like the way it gives me anxiety. I guess just to sum it up, it gives me anxiety and I feel like I'm wasting my time. So I don't feel the need to get on Facebook. But I know people in my life who are on Facebook all the time. And it's that need to belong to something familiar. But anyways, my point is that I used to be one of those people that was searching how to be better, how to become better, how to feel important, how to feel like I'm making a dent in this world, how I always wanted to be a part of something special. I wanted to be successful. I've always wanted to what's my calling? What's my purpose? I've always felt like I've had a purpose and a calling. That's what I'm trying to say. And so I really didn't find that purpose and calling, you guys, until I came back to church and came back into the gospel and started doing family history and genealogy, like in temple work. Until I started doing that, I really didn't feel like that sense of belonging, and that now I do. I'm like, I'm a part of something big. I'm a part of something huge. And that's what I'm talking about, is that is what I get from doing family history and temple work. I get a huge sense of accomplishment. I get a huge sense of belonging. I get a huge sense of joy, love, like all of that. All of that that I was like searching for throughout my 20s and 30s, I found doing temple work and genealogy. So and it's so cool. I mean, it's true for me. I want to know if it's true for you, if you find that in that sense of accomplishment. So I want to read what I was going to read to you now. The footnote that I'm going to read. It's not very long. So like I said, this video will probably only be maybe no more than 20 minutes. I just want to remember where I leave off here. Okay, this is where I left off. Okay, and then right here, so this is a talk. She has a footnote about this in, well, I'll not lose my place. Hold on. Footnote 39. Not that I guess that doesn't matter to you. And it's called Personal Temple Worship by Elder David B. Haight. Or Haight. Haight. I think it's Haight. Haight. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm just going to, because a lot of this is, it's good, but it's not what I want to touch on. Okay. So he says, the gospel in its fullness was revealed to Adam, and undoubtedly all religious practices are derived from the remnants of the truth given to Adam. So when we're just talking about, he was talking about temples have been part of the plan since the beginning. They are how we redeem the dead. Okay? And so undoubtedly, all religious practices are derived from the remnants of the truth given to Adam. Some religious practices given in those early days have no doubt been corrupted as they have been handed down through the ages, which we know they have been corrupted. And it's so amazing that we have temples like ancient days and we can be worthy enough to live, to go to the temple. I think it's awesome. So, but faithful members who understand the eternal nature of the gospel, of God's holy purpose to bring to pass the eternal life of man, understand clearly why the history of man seems to revolve around the building and use of temples. And you can look that up under, and I talked about him a little bit in this, referred to this in a previous part of this book. And it's John A. Widstow, Temple Worship in the Utah Genealogical and Historical Quarterly, blah, 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 April 1921. I will put in the description all the links I could possibly put for you guys. All right. So saints of all ages have had temples in one form or another. So, of all ages, all right, there is evidence that the temple worship was customary from Adam to Noah, and that after the flood, the holy priesthood was continued. Therefore, we have every reason to believe the ordinances of the temple were available to those entitled to receive them. The Lord commanded Moses that he should build a tabernacle, that they should bear it with them in the wilderness, that those ordinances might be revealed which had been hid from before the world was. So we all know the story, right? They built the tabernacle in the wilderness. I mean, it was just basically a tent, but it was a temple. It was symbolic. It didn't have to be, made of wood or stone. In Exodus, the Lord instructed Moses in meticulous detail regarding the specifications and requirements for the building of the tabernacle. Though this was but a tent, it was elaborately furnished and appointed, the choicest possessions of the people being used in its construction. Which, remember, that they gave up all their precious belongings. They had so many. People were willing to give up all they had. They had so many that they didn't even need all the, these people's belongings. So it was cool. It was really cool. People were just like, take what I have. I'll donate whatever I have for the Lord. All right. And so it was a portable and movable. It was to be portable and movable throughout the wanderings of the Israelites and served their spiritual needs for more than 500 years. Utility and sublime grandeur were blended in the construction of this unique edifice. This was also true of Solomon's temple, which superseded the tabernacle as the permanent sanctuary of the Lord and of the temples built by his authority today. So the center of the community in ancient Israel was the temple. It is an institution of the greatest antiquity. And here again, I just wanted to quote this. And so right here it says, in a funeral sermon for his close friend King Follett, Joseph the prophet said, this is what I'm talking about. The greatest responsibility in this world that God has laid upon us is to seek out after our dead. And I know I'm smiling so big because I mean it makes me happy, you guys. I can't fake that. Like, it makes me so happy. If you knew me in person, this is how I am when I'm talking about the gospel, family history work. It brings so much joy to me. And that's what I'm saying. It is that's why I feel like I belong, like I found my path, like I found my responsibility, my mission. My mission is to help redeem my dead. So here is what he says. Yes, it isn't easy, but as you pursue your search, keep these 3 principles in mind. I don't know why I can't talk. Okay, first, the Lord never asks the impossible. Often the difficult, but never the impossible. Some may feel that they have conscientiously sought the Spirit in the task of finding ancestral information without success and therefore attribute their lack of success to insufficient faith. If you have felt this way, I suggest patience. Give the Lord time. Have faith that in his due time, all of the information you need will become available. But in the meantime, ask the Lord to direct your attention to other ancestors whose information is more accessible. Wendy Nelson talks about this later on. Like we hit on this, I think, in the next section or the section after the next one that I'm going to go over. So remember this. She talks about this. So I want you guys to really remember what he says. I'm going to reread this again, so don't get annoyed, but I want you to really remember what he says here. It's so important. And then, like I said, she's going to hit on this. There's a key nugget in this. Some may feel that they have conscientiously sought the Spirit in the task of finding ancestral information without success and therefore attribute their lack of success to insufficient faith. If you have felt this way, I suggest patience. Give the Lord time. Have faith that in his due time, all of the information you need will become available. But in the meantime, ask the Lord to direct your attention to other ancestors whose information is more accessible. So there could be a roadblock there because maybe that person isn't ready to accept the work being done. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe that ancestor that you've been searching for, maybe they're just not ready to accept the gospel. And so that's why you can't find the records that you're looking for. Just saying. So move on to somebody else because that person may not be ready. There's also available to you another valuable source of help. Knowledgeable family history consultants are now available in your ward and state to assist you in your searching for your ancestors. And that's where I come in. In my ward, that's what I do. All right. And then that's what I'm doing on this channel. Literally. So, second, begin where you are. Take one step at a time. You know key information about the lives of your parents. Record their information and then move backward, a generation at a time, watching for unbaptized, unendowed, and unsealed ancestors. I love that. And I think that's kind of pretty much how I've worked. I've worked from like beginning back. So I worked starting with my parents and then like, where we are now and then working back and back and back. Third, don't try to do everything at once. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is priceless advice. King Benjamin taught, and see that all these things are done in wisdom and order, for it is not requisite that a man should run faster than he has strength. And so don't think that you need to organize and do all these things before you even get started. I'm going to tell you completely opposite of that. I don't think you need to get organized and sort everything out, because you'll never get everything organized and sorted out. For me personally, I think for me, because I am younger, not considering, but comparing myself to some of my other friends who've been doing genealogy longer than me, they are more organized, but they've been doing genealogy probably almost their whole adult life, where I haven't, and they've had time to get organized. So if you're just starting out, for me, what the most important thing is honestly finding people, finding my family names, and making sure their ordinances are done. That is the most important thing. Yes, collecting the records as I go and attach the records and save all of that, but writing a book and all that is not important to me right now. Right now, spending my time finding and requesting, reserving, and taking names to the temple. That's what I want to focus on. And then, I'm going to get to the other stuff down the road. So I don't know that that's all that important. I'm sure lots of people would argue with me, but if the second coming of the Lord is really soon, what's the point of people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but why should I spend all this time organizing? Why should I spend time organizing and filing and getting all that stuff in order? And why? Why? When I need to redeem my ancestors, like I need to do the ordinances for them. That's what's important, not how everything is going to be organized and we're going to be able to look back on, because if the second coming of the Lord is going to be here, we're going to know everything. So that's just where I'm at with that. So prayerfully determine that you should do what you should do for your ancestors. Many factors affect this. What other family members might have done already, your own abilities and interest, the time you have. Let me start all over. Many factors affect this. What other family members might have done already, your own abilities and interests, and the time you have available. But it is important that you do something. So that's what I'm getting at. Do something. So I guess if you don't want to do all the other stuff, you just want to organize, then do organizing. But I want to take family name. I want to find names. I want to take them to the temple. I want to get the ordinances done. I'll get the other stuff done eventually. All right. So the salvation of our Heavenly Father's children from Adam and Eve to the present generation is the most important work in time and eternity. Our joy or our disappointment in the eternities may hinge on our willing participation in this great latter-day work. Man, I love this quote here. I just love what he says. Like, our joy or our disappointment in the eternities may hinge on our willing participation in this great latter-day work. I think I'm going to probably put that on the channel and post it, because if our joy or our disappointment is based on how much we helped our ancestors out while on this side of the veil and participating in their work, if our joy or our disappointment depends on that, I'm definitely gonna work hard on this side of the veil. If you get so much joy out of genealogy already, why wouldn't you do it? Why not do it? Obviously, there's something about it. Why are we getting joy from it, right? Why? Well, hey, we know why. But, it's just, I don't want to be called out at my day of redemption, and resurrection and my day of judgment, all of that. Like, my day of judgment, I do not want to say I didn't do all I could do. That's all. All right. So we're just about done. All right. And so here she says, the very fact that temple covenants and ordinances seem so different from experiences during our Sunday worship meetings. Did I lose my place? They're talking about women. Okay, let's just read the wait. Yes, I went too far. I knew I did something. All right. Sorry, I lost my place. I found it. All right. So we were talking about women. So on a day when we don't think anyone cares about us and our struggles, or all we've been trying to do, what would happen if we took just one moment to look with our mind's eye into those double mirrors and see the truth? Because the truth is that each and every day you and I let our covenants influence our thoughts and words and actions. We are inseparably connected to millions and millions of covenant women, women from the beginning of time down through each and every gospel dispensation. I should say women and men from the beginning of time down through each and every gospel dispensation. Now, those are friends we hope will like us. And I'm going to end it there, you guys. And I'm sorry, she does refer to like women in this, but she's talking about women and men. But she did this. This is from a women's BYU conference talk, so she's not trying to leave the men out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little segment here, and I'm gonna end it because I said I would end it early, and we'll finish this in the next one, the power of the perspective of those on the other side of the veil. All right, you guys take care and have a good day or evening wherever you're at. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Leave those for me, and let me know how you're doing with your genealogy. Are you guys doing the 21-day experiment? I hope so. All right. Keep me posted on what you're doing if you're doing it. If not, I guess I'm going to keep bugging you. All right. You guys take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.